over recent days and weeks, no team will want to go to St James's Park. They'll fear the atmosphere up there. Is that naive when it comes to an elite team, as Borussia Dortmund are, paying you a visit?
Well, it depends who's saying it. I mean, ultimately, look, the bottom line is most of these players that played in the Champions League have played in big environments, have played in big stadiums, played for big football clubs. They're used to pressure. And Newcastle and all that's going on up there, wonderful and well done to them. But that's the reality of playing in Champions League football. What you'll see is the gear change. Borussia Dortmund would compete in the Premier League, and Newcastle would play Borussia Dortmund in the Premier League and would expect to beat them, I suspect. So there's no difference with that in the Champions League. And this metamorphosis from a magnanimous Eddie Howe to an expectant one is going to happen for Newcastle to take that step, to not to be in any shape or form reflective of where they are, not to pinch themselves for where they are, to assume. This is the veneer. This is what I talked about the other day, 3 or 4 weeks ago, when they got beat by Liverpool. And the expectation of Liverpool was to come back, to overcome this obstacle. And it was a deep-seated belief, because this football club has won so many things over the years. Newcastle have got to get into that vein of thinking. It'll take some time. They'll get there. They were unlucky yesterday. I mean, let's have it right. At times, in the first half, Dortmund had their number, worked them out. And made it very difficult for them in the centre of the park. In the second half, there were chances for Newcastle that should have been taken perhaps by Callum Wilson, and a couple of opportunities that hit the woodwork that would have made the difference. United got away with a penalty being saved in the last minute. Newcastle got a couple of crossbars away from getting a credible draw against Borussia Dortmund at home, 5 points, but they would have taken 4 points from the first 3 Champions League games every day of the week into their thinking.
Right, okay, so it's a successful enough start.
Yeah, so
Newcastle, I mean, when you say this, though, Simon, Newcastle must now travel to Dortmund, then PSG, before hosting AC Milan.
But that is what it is.
Yeah, true.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
And, Newcastle are a good side. They're an enjoyable side to watch. Mickey taking a side about me and Danny saying we hope they lose tomorrow. Nobody hopes an English team loses. It's just a bit of tongue-in-cheek stuff.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that Newcastle have put themselves in a decent position to be able to get out of this group, and that was the object of the aim. This is their first voyage into the Champions League for 20 years. It's interesting what Rob Lee said. Rob Lee spoke on Alan's show yesterday about the scenario of the grain of sand. They got results against teams like Barcelona, and then they tripped up against PSV in their last qualifying situation in the Champions League. And he warned against that being the grain of sand. Now, Borussia Dortmund is some grain of sand, because they're a proper grown-up football team that compete in this tournament and in their league to the highest levels.
Yeah.
So, look, take it in context. A disappointing 1-0 home result, but I still think Newcastle give themselves a really good opportunity to come out of the group.
And again, the fans played their part. They did their bit. They were magnificent last night in the heavy rain. They were standing there right behind their club, which they always do.
They do indeed.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.